everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, be sure that you signed up for my free newsletter over at CorinneBlackstone.com. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun updates that we have, freebies, all sorts of great things. Now in today's video, we are going to be engraving acrylic with our Cricut Joy and our Cricut Joy Xtra. This is a really fun process, but one thing to be really aware of, this will void your warranty. So if you're gonna do this, either be okay with that or make sure your machine is over a year old. Once it's a year old, it doesn't hold a warranty at all anyways. So to use a tool that isn't made by Cricut won't void anything. Now to do this, you're gonna need a mat, obviously, for your machine. I know these can be matless, but this project, you're gonna need a mat. You can use strong grip or a nice sticky green mat. Either one will work. I also recommend some painter's tape. This is super important. It helps hold down your acrylic. And then you're gonna also need the tiny little engraving tool, and I'll link that down below for you. That way you can't miss out on it. This is actually a really good tool. I've been trying it for several days now. I've done a ton of projects with it, and it works great. Another thing to note is that your Cricut Maker can engrave, and so can your Explorer, and they can engrave thicker items. So I'm able to engrave a disc like this, which is about 2 millimeters thick, with my Explorer and with my Makers. But with the Joy and the Joy Xtra, it's a little bit thinner. I did test this, and it just didn't work well. So you want to stick with a thinner material, under like 2 millimeters thick. We're gonna make these bookmarks. I know you cannot see them very well at all because they are clear, but I'll give you guys a close-up view, so don't worry, you'll be able to see them. These are from Amazon as well. I will link them below. They worked perfectly. They're like just the right thickness, and they were so simple. We're gonna be using some designs from Creative Fabrica, and I will link them down below too if you wanna check those out as well. Let's go ahead and get started. To engrave with our Joy, I'm going to use these cute little Halloween designs, but you can do so many things. But what we'll do is we're going to first make a bookmark using some of these, which they're so cute. So all we have to do is click download, and I'll link these down below if you want to check them out, and I'll also link Creative Fabrica. Once you've clicked download, it'll open your folder and ask you to save it. And then you need to unzip your folder because these come in compressed folders. Now I'm going to click extract all and then just click extract, and then it will open up the folder that has all of our extracted files in it. Now I go one step further. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to close the folder that was zipped. Then I'm going to go back to the original folder that I saved in, and I'm going to delete my zipped folder. I'm then going to go into this folder and delete all the files that I'm not going to use, which includes DXF, EPS, and the JPG files. Go ahead and delete those. That's going to help keep your computer a little bit cleaner since those are files you're not going to use. And then I'm going to look at my PNGs because these are going to give me a cute little preview of all of our different options for what we want to like put on to our little bookmark. So there's tons of cute designs. We'll go ahead and play around with some of them. Now I'm going to go ahead and use SVGs for this. So let's head over to Design Space and upload a few of these. Over in Design Space, click Upload and then click Upload Image. Now I'm going to drag and drop my files. I just find that way easier. So I'm going to use Halloween Bat 2, and all I have to do is click Continue and click Upload. Because these are SVGs, they're going to upload super easy. I'll show you one more, but then I'll just do the rest off camera. That way you can, not have to watch me do it. So we clicked Upload, we clicked Upload Image, and then we're going to drag and drop. And for this one, I'll use this Dracula, and then go ahead and click Continue, click Upload, and it'll come up into your design space. So let me go ahead and get a few more of these added in, and then I'll show you how to set them up. We have everything uploaded, so you'll notice that there's a red little warning sign because I have my Joy selected. So if you click on that, it'll just tell you that it's too big of an image, which I'm aware of. It's no big deal. We'll get to these in just one second. I'm going to scooch these over to the side. Now I want to make a template for our little bookmark. So what I do is I open up a shape and I just use a square. You don't have to do anything crazy. This is super easy. And I want to change the sizing of my square to match the sizing of my bookmark. So my bookmark is about 2 inches wide and about 5 inches high. So it's pretty small, but it's a good size for a bookmark. Now what I want to do is first, I like to change the color of this. I just find it easier so I can see what I'm doing. Now I can take these designs and size them to fit inside of my bookmark. But I want to take my bookmark and I'm going to go ahead and send this to the back just so that all my images will sit on top of it. So now I can just sit here and size these down so that they fit on my bookmark however I want them to fit. I'm just going to kind of do like a random, just kind of hodgepodge of different designs. You do whatever you like, however you want it to look, whatever you want to do with it, it's fine. However you want to design your bookmark or whatever you're putting this on is absolutely fine. But I just thought I kind of wanted to play with a few little images just so we can see how they all turn out. I don't think I'm going to use this bat. I think I'm going to get rid of that one. I think I like the other bat that I have better. And then we'll put our little Dracula guy down here. And then maybe we'll put another pumpkin. Again, you do you. However you want this to look is truly up to you. You can add more bats. I'm just going to use Control-C, Control-V. And I'm going to take and put another bat down here. But I think I'm going to change the angle. I'm going to flip him horizontally so that he's facing that way. And then I think I'll put another bat right up here. We'll put one right here. And for this guy, I'm just going to angle him. Oh, I kind of wanted him straight, but he's a little bit too long if I make him straight. So let's make him a little smaller. And then we'll just make him like that. So again, you add whatever you want. I'm going to space these out just a little bit more, just so that they're a little more even. But again, have fun with it. I also don't want to get anything too close to the edge because we do need to make sure that we line everything up. And I'm going to show you a trick to that in just 1 second. So what I have here is my bookmark blank, which is that yellow piece. And then I have all of my little engraving pieces. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that everything is still set to basic cut. Because the Joy only has the one holder for the blade, the pen, all the things, the foil tool, I want to just keep it as basic cut. It gives me more cut options, so that's why I keep it that way. Then I want to select each of the designs, my Halloween designs, and I want to attach them. Once they're attached, I'm able to move them as one single piece, and then I also have this yellow piece. Now the first thing we want to do is save it. So I'm going to save this as Halloween bookmark. And I always say save before you hit make, just because sometimes that can really mess stuff up. Now we don't have to do any kind of like mirroring or anything for this. We're going to leave it as is. Now all we have to do is click the make button. Now it's going to pull up 2 mats. We're going to have a black mat here, and then we're going to have a yellow mat. So what I'm going to do is the first thing is to move this blank area. So this blank design, this blank rectangle, which is our bookmark. And I'm going to move it to the grid here so that it's going to be right in this 1 and 1 grid. So you're going to have a line of boxes next to it and then a line of boxes down the side. This is going to make it a lot easier for you to line this up onto your mat when you can see the grid lines. So you always want to use your grid lines to line stuff up. Then what I want to do is go back to your black mat. Click on these these left 3 dots, and I want you to click Move Object. Then select the yellow mat and click Confirm. All you have to do from here is then line this up with your yellow rectangle. Now keep in mind there's a little hole up here for your tassel to go through. Once you've got this lined up onto your yellow rectangle, I want you to note exactly where you put this, and I usually will line up my bookmark while I'm looking at this screen so that I make sure that I line it up correctly onto my lines. Once I've done that and I'm happy with where my bookmark is sitting, I want you to go back to these 3 lines, making sure that you have the yellow rectangle selected, and I want you to hide the selected object. Now you'll notice that it kept your engraving part, which is your bats and your people and your pumpkin, and those are going to stay right where they're at. I want that to be where those go because then they're going to line up on our bookmark. Now this does take a few little tries to learn how to do this and get this right. So if your first one isn't perfectly centered, that's okay. You just have to learn and adjust. But using the grid lines on the mat is the way to go. Then what we're going to do is click Continue, and it will connect to your Joy. Now, once it's connected to your Joy, I did a bunch of different like test cuts just to see what would work best. And I found that the foil acetate option worked best. But let's say you don't have that on your screen right here. All you have to do is go to Browse All Materials and you can just search for the word foil. When you've searched for foil, you'll see there's adhesive foil, deluxe paper, but here is foil acetate. Now I'm going to show you something else that helped me figure out what setting I wanted to use. Down in this very lower left corner is where it says material settings. If you click on that, it's going to show you all of the preset settings that the Cricut Joy has. So what I did was I basically just found whichever one had the highest pressure but wasn't cutting it a ton of times. So felt has 100 or the 350 pressure, but it was cutting it 6 times and that seemed a little excessive. So I see here that we have foil acetate at 330 and that only does it 2 times, which that seems perfect. So all I want to do is I kind of just kept scrolling and just seeing if there was anything else that looked like I thought that it would do what I wanted it to do. But the foil acetate really worked very well. But what you can always do is add a new material. So if you click add new material, you can name it. So I'm going to call this acrylic engrave. That way I know what I'm doing with it. Then I click save. I can change my pressure to whatever I want it to be. So I can go with the 320 or I can go a little bit higher if I feel like it needs to be 350. And then you can change your cuts to like multi-cut. You can cut as many times as you want, but 2 times seemed perfect for me. And then you can just tell it you want to use the fine point blade and click save. Then you just close out your screen here. And now when you go to Browse All Materials, if you search Engrave, it'll bring up your cut setting and you can just use that instead of the foil acetate. So you do whatever works best for you, but that's one way that you can make a material setting. Now I'm going to go ahead and load the machine and let you guys watch this engrave. The first thing that we'll need to do is to change out the tool. I got this one off of Amazon. I'll link it down below for you. This is the little engraving tool for your Cricut Joy and your Joy Xtra. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. And I'm going to place this into where my fine point blade goes. And then you want to make sure that you close the clamp. And then I'm going to get everything lined up onto our mat. Now, normally I would say use a strong grip mat, but with the Cricut Joy, this mat's pretty sticky, so it should be just fine. This is what I tested it on. So I'm going to get this lined up. I want to line it up just a little bit over. And then for some extra hold and security on this, just like when I do the bigger Cricuts, I'm going to use some painter's tape on this just to help hold it down so that it doesn't shift at all while we're cutting. So you just use a little bit of tape on the top and the bottom. I don't tape all around it. I'm just going to tape just a little bit of the bottom down here and it should be good to go. I'm going to rip this off just so it doesn't stick anywhere it shouldn't, and I'll stick that back on the tape. We can use it later. So this is ready to go. I'm going to use that setting that I talked about, the acetate setting. The foil acetate should work really, really well. So I'll go ahead and get that set on the computer and we can engrave. So it's all done. I'm gonna go ahead and I already unloaded it from the machine or from the computer and the machine. And now what I'm gonna do is I take this leftover tape. So everything that you used to like tape it down, let me scooch this out of the way. And what I want you to do is take that tape and you're gonna kind of press it all over your acrylic and you can see how much gunk it pulls up. We wanna just get all that like acrylic floof off of this. And then I'll grab this other piece from the top of the mat. I love being able to reuse these because then you're not like wasting extra pieces. You've already used them. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I made a mistake. It is my bad. What I did was I forgot to hide the rectangle that we used. So there is going to be a line down here but it happens. Like, I'm not perfect. I made a mistake, but wait till you see how cute this comes out. Now, one thing is that I didn't mention, there is a protective coating on both sides of this. So when you engrave, take the coating off the side that is upright, and then you'll leave the coating on the back. It just gives you a better grip. Now, I know you can't see hardly anything at all on this right now, so I'm gonna get some dark paper and I'll show you what they both look like when we're done with both of them. Now, I would like to try that same design on this bookmark that we did in the Joy, try it with the Joy Xtra. I'll be honest, I tried a thicker piece. I tried a thicker disc in the Joy Xtra. It's a little too thick. So we're gonna try and just see how it does with the thinner bookmark. I am using a strong grip mat, and just like I did the Joy, I lined everything up. So I didn't do anything differently. And then I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm gonna line this up on that grid where I want it. And then I just gotta figure out where I need to sit it. And I think I need to move it over just a touch. All right, I think that looks good. Again, we're gonna use some tape to hold this down. We're gonna tape the top and the bottom just to make sure nothing moves around. I'm gonna use that same setting, the foil acetate setting, load this in, and then we'll see how this one does compared to the Joy. Right, it's all finished. Didn't take too long. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off. I'm not gonna bother unloading the mat. I always hate going over to my computer to do that. But just like with when we did the Joy one, you wanna go ahead and take that painter's tape and get all that like gunk off, because there is a lot of fluff left behind from engraving. So we'll go ahead and get all of that off, and we'll be able to tell the difference between these pretty easy, because one's gonna have the line on the bottom of them. And they're not quite exactly lined up exactly the same, so it's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the clear off the back, and then I'm gonna get you a really nice view so you can see how well these turned out using that tool with your Cricut Joy and your Joy Xtra. I think they're really, really cute. I can't wait for you to see them. On the left is the Joy, on the right is the Joy Xtra. And I want you to notice that with the Joy Xtra, it looks like it shifted a little bit while it was engraving because the lines are not perfect, which I find interesting since we did use the strong grip mat for it. But I think it still came out pretty okay, and that's something we can easily fix. But this tool absolutely works. It really works well, and I think these came out really nice, crisp, and clean. Now again, remember, this needs to be a thinner material, definitely below 2 millimeters, because otherwise it won't fit under the roller. And your machine needs to be over a year old so that you don't void your warranty. All in all, I'm super pleased with my purchase. I will, again, link it down below so that you can find it. Now remember, my links do not cost you a single dime extra to shop through, but they do help me make this type of content and keep it completely free for you guys. Now tell me, are you going to try this tool, or is engraving something that kind of scares you away from like your Joy or your Joy Xtra? I think this tool is great, so I highly recommend it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.